If anyone knows what this shirt means, I love you. The Pact is a new horror film that opened in limited release, and it's also on Amazon for rental, which is where I watched it. It's about these two sisters, and they hate their mother. They hated their childhood. Her mother treated her poorly growing up. They go to her house because she's passed away, and they're going to go to her funeral. The one sister gets there first, though, and has a night alone in the house. She starts hearing things, seeing things. She starts investigating. Then we cut to when the next sister gets there the next morning, and there's nobody there. There's just random things spread throughout the house that look like some kind of struggle happened. She starts hearing stuff in the house. Weird things are happening, things are moving, sounds are being made. She doesn't understand what's going on, so she starts to investigate what happened to her sister and what's causing this strange disturbance, and our mystery begins.
Hi, baby. Can you see Mommy?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Can you see me now, baby?
Yeah? Mommy, who's that behind you?
Now, as you guys know, I love scary movies, but I also hate the way that they have been treated so lately in cinema. Cabin in the Woods was a great example of what should be going on in horror movies, and it just makes fun of all the cliches that horror films provide. And I heard a lot of things about this movie going into it. A few of my pals saw it, said it was really suspenseful, really scary, a good horror movie. And then I saw a lot of comments and reviews from people like on IMDb just writing worst movie ever, like in all caps. And I should have just listened to my friends in the first place, because this was a really clever horror movie. And it wasn't just the horror movie that you walk into it and there's blood and guts and nudity and everything that they try to throw at a lot of horror movies nowadays to mask the fact that the movie actually sucks. This was a quiet movie with a lot of tension built up by really good direction. The director did a really good job of using pans and zooms, just slowly coming in on whatever the object is you're supposed to be afraid of, and you're like, oh, just whatever's about to happen, just happen already, please.
I'm really worried about Nicole. I don't know where she is.
Hey, Nicole! Nicole?
Really good use of tension in this movie. I was very impressed. This is a really creepy movie. It's actually one of the more suspenseful movies I've seen since Insidious, which did freak me out a lot, actually. One of the things I really liked that the director did was that he didn't let the tension fade away by using countless jump scares. Because what jump scares do, really, is let the tension that scene was created, let that evaporate. A good director who's making a scary movie wants to keep the suspense and tension all the way through. You don't want to have it all released, you know, in various corny jump scares, like somebody put a hand on someone's shoulder, or you turn around and there's a face, or just, you know, just stupid jump scares like a cat. Even though there are a few jump scares in this movie, they're placed at just the right points. The director did a really good job of keeping tension really built throughout a scene. You keep thinking that something is about to happen, and sometimes nothing happens and the scene just ends and you get to the next one and you're like, wow, so the tension is still there, it's in the air, and that's how you make a good suspense movie. You keep the tension going through scene to scene to scene without letting it all just release in some corny jump scare like a bird flying at you. Like there were some times in this movie where like a character would be looking through like a tiny peephole in a wall or something. Whenever that happens in a movie, you're always expecting somebody to just jump out and go, and I kept expecting stuff like that to happen, but it didn't. The director found really clever ways to continue the scene. This is not what I thought, because I really, honestly, I watch like a lot of horror movies. I don't review all the ones I see. I get a lot of stuff from rental places and everything, and I'm used to the corny horror cliches that are so prevalent in films today, and this movie didn't do too many of them. The acting was pretty good in the movie too. I liked the lead actress, and one of the things I liked was it kind of pulled a Psycho, where it introduced you to an actress, and like, okay, this is who we're going with, but then, no, actually we're following this girl, okay. I call that a Psycho. I don't know if anyone else does. But I liked the lead girl. I thought she was talented, she did a good job in the movie. Now, one of the things about this movie is that it does have some cliches in regards to the story. Noises at night and weird creepy photos that maybe are a clue to something. You know, we've seen this before in movies like The Ring. But the fact is, whenever a writer or a director, in this case the same person wrote and directed this movie, McCarthy, can take a story that does feel cliched and that does have some of the horror movie tropes, but make it in a way and present the material in a new way, or a way that is not cliched, then I love that, because it's like, yes, I can take a story that you might read and sit down and say, that was interesting, but I've seen that 1,000 times. Like, I like a director who can actually sit down and say, okay, this story, yeah, this is kind of familiar, but I'm going to make it in a way that's different. I'm going to show that I have passion for this material, and this director did a really good job with that. And I know I'm talking about the director a lot, but that was the thing I was most impressed with this movie, was the direction. And this is one of those movies that when it ends, you just kind of want to go to IMDb and like see what people are saying. And yes, this movie is kind of ambiguous, and it does leave a few questions. But if you honestly pay attention during this movie, and if you actually think when you're watching this movie, I know most people who pop in a horror movie don't want to think, they just want to be bombarded with violence and sex and stuff that doesn't really matter. If you watch this movie, you're going to have to pay attention. And if you're bothered by sometimes things being slightly ambiguous or not entirely explained, you might not enjoy that in this movie. I like when a filmmaker is able to do that in a way that doesn't feel lazy, like he just went, I can't, whatever, just end. The Pact scared me. It did. I was very suspensed by a lot of scenes in this movie, and there were times when I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to look right now. It was actually a very intense, well-done horror movie. I enjoyed The Pact very much. It does have some cliches. It does have a few plot points that seem familiar, and it's not like a movie that you're going to leave and just be like, wow, what an experience that was. It's just a surprisingly good horror film, a little film, and I think if you can find it on Amazon or if it's playing at a theater near you, you should check it out. I'm going to give The Pact a B+. And as always, guys, if you like this review, you can subscribe to my channel and get Stuckmanized.